guys, it's Hannah, and today I am filming my summer book haul. So since the month of June, I have been accumulating a number of books and they've just been piling up in my room, and I thought since summer has come to a close and I have gathered a number of books, it was time to film another haul. So I have 15 books to show you guys, and without any further ado, let's get into all of them. So the first few books I have to show you guys here are all ARCs or review copies that were sent to me. The first one I have already talked about on my channel, and that is We Awaken by Callista Lynn. This book was sent to me by the author in exchange for an honest review, and I'm currently reading it, and I'm going to be doing a review for it for you guys very soon. This book follows this girl named Victoria who is a lesbian and she's also asexual, and the story is about this girl who visits her in her dreams, and then she kind of starts to discover her sexuality, and it explores those themes a lot in here, but it also has some like magical elements to it. So far it's very interesting and I'm liking it a lot, and I will update you guys on my thoughts when I finish it. So the next book I have to show you guys here is an ARC that I actually got from VidCon, and I think it was from the Simon & Schuster booth. They were just giving these out, and it's Die Young with Me, a memoir by Rob Rufus. So this is a memoir about Rob Rufus's life after he's diagnosed with cancer, and it just tells his story. I really don't know anything more about it other than that. I also don't know when I'm gonna get around to reading this or if I will. Like I said, they were just handing them out and they gave me one, so I took it. I'm not gonna say no to a book, but if this story interests any of you, this book is coming out in September of this year, so you can look out for it then. So the next book that I actually got when I went to VidCon as well, but not at VidCon. I got it from the Booksplosion event that happened the day before VidCon, and that is The Silence of Six by E.C. Myers. Again, I really don't know too much about this book at all. They were just handing it out after the event, so I took one. But the blurb on the front says that it's a story built around advanced technology and government conspiracy, and that sounds pretty cool, so maybe I will get around to this somewhat soon. But like I said, I'm a sucker for free books, so if someone is just gonna hand me a free book, I'll take it, even though I don't really know what it's about. The next book I have here is an ARC that was sent to me by the publisher, and that is Nemesis by Anna Banks. And this book comes out on October 4th. So from what I understand from the summary of this book is that we follow this prince and this princess in this fantasy world that I believe is loosely based around Egyptian mythology. And the princess ends up fleeing her royal life because she has some sort of special powers and people are trying to use her powers for their own benefit. And the prince has recently lost his father and become the king, and then the two somehow end up meeting, and then I believe a love story unfolds from there. So it sounds like a really interesting story. It sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun, and I will be reading and reviewing this closer to its publication date, so look out for that. So the next book I have here was also an ARC that was sent to me by the publisher, and this one I specifically requested because I'd been seeing it everywhere and I wanted to read it so badly, and I was so thrilled when they said yes and sent it to me. And that book is Carnivale by Stephanie Garber. I've actually already read this book because, like I said, I was just so excited to read this that the day that it came in the mail, I actually started reading it then. And the reason I was so excited to pick this up was because people had compared it to The Night Circus, and you know me, you know my obsession with The Night Circus. Anything that is compared to it in any way, shape, or form, I have to pick up and try for myself. So Carnivale is like this circus or show that takes place in this fantasy world, and it travels from different cities, and it never goes to the same city twice, and it's very difficult for people to get tickets to get into Carnivale, and it's basically like a traveling circus, but it's also kind of like a game. So you have two options when you go into Carnivale. Either you can sit and observe the game, or you can actually go into the game and play it for yourself. And this story follows two sisters who end up going to the game, and a lot of other things happen. I don't really want to spoil anything for anyone, but I will just say that I really ended up enjoying this book. I will also say, however, that I don't think it's very similar to The Night Circus. I understand why a lot of people make those comparisons. It has some similarities, but at the same time, I don't necessarily agree with the comparisons. I think they're two very separate entities. The only similarity I could really draw from it is just kind of like the weirdness of a circus and kind of like a circus community type of thing that both of the books have. So I would not go into this expecting the YA version of The Night Circus, because that's not what you're gonna get. That's not to say that this wasn't great in its own way. I definitely think it was. I really enjoyed it, and I will be reviewing this one as well closer to the publication date in a full non-spoiler review. This, however, doesn't come out until January, and I know that's so far away, but it is so worth the wait. It's very good. It's already been optioned for film, and there's so much buzz around it, so Don't let the hype get to you, but definitely keep this one on your radar. The next book I have here I got from my Muse monthly box for the month of July, which I've already done an unboxing for, and I will leave linked down below and on the screen, and that is Homegoing by Ya Jossi. So Homegoing is about two half-sisters who were born in 18th century Ghana, and the two of them end up getting separated and living two very different lives. One of them ends up being sold into the slave trade, and the other one ends up being married off to a wealthy Englishman. And then the rest of the story follows the generations of their family leading up to the present, and it covers topics like slavery, racism, poverty, things like that, and it just sounds so interesting. It's been getting raving reviews, and I'm very excited to get to this book. To me, this sounds like an adult version of The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender, because that's also a generational story, and I'm super into those, so hopefully this is as great as I'm expecting it to be, and hopefully I get around to it pretty soon. The next book I have here is Saga Volume 6 by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. If you didn't know this about me, I'm a huge fan of the Saga comics. They are honestly one of my all-time favorite series. I'm obsessed with them. I talk about Saga a lot, but for those of you who don't know, it's basically like this sci-fi series that is about these two planets that are at war with each other, and we follow the story of multiple characters, but the main plot is about these two people who are from the two opposing planets, and they have fallen in love and they have a child, and the story is told from their child's perspective. And if you're looking to get into a comic series, I highly recommend this one. It's so fantastic. It has some adult themes if you're not really comfortable with that, or if you're a lot younger and you're not into reading that, then definitely just be aware of that, but if you are, please check them out. I can't rave about these enough. The next book I have here I've also already read, and that is The Beauty of Darkness by Mary E. Pearson. I recently went to a Mary E. Pearson event where I got to interview her, and it was so much fun and so exciting, and I have a video for it up already, so I will leave that linked on the screen as well as down below. But when I went to the event, I had to pick myself up a hard copy of the book because I read a NetGalley arc of it, but I wanted a physical copy for my shelves. Mary even signed it, which was super sweet. I just had a great time at that event. It was so much fun. I finished up this entire series this summer, and I really enjoyed them, especially this third book. I think it was by far the best one. So if you haven't checked this series out yet and you're kind of hesitant about it, especially if you've only read the first book, keep going. I promise they get better and better. The next two books I have to show you guys I recently ordered from Book Outlet, and the first one is The Encyclopedia of Early Earth by Isabel Greenberg. I've also already talked about this book in my August Currently Reading video because I am currently reading it, but this is a graphic novel about a world called Early Earth, and Early Earth is just an earlier version of our Earth, and it has its own mythology and all that, and it tells the story of this man from the Nord, or basically the North Pole, and he travels down to the South Pole where he meets this woman, and then the two of them fall in love with each other. But then the two realize that they can't get within 2 feet of each other because the magnetic poles of the Earth keep them apart. So then they still decide to get married, and then they tell each other's stories as a way of being close to one another. And so far, it is an absolutely beautiful story. The art style is just absolutely stunning. The color schemes are just beautiful. I love it so much. So even though I haven't finished this yet, I still highly recommend it if you're looking for a new graphic novel because it's beautiful, the story is so great, and it's just everything I could ask for. The next book I got from Book Outlet is The Watchmaker of Filigree Street by Natasha Pulley. First off, before I get into anything about this book, I love the cover of this. It's just absolutely stunning and beautiful, and then it also has like this cutout right here with the little pocket watch and then like a map on the inside. It's so pretty. So as for the summary of this book, it takes place in the 1800s in London, and it follows this man who finds this pocket watch in his house, and then the pocket watch ends up saving his life, and then he goes on a search to find who created the pocket watch. That's all I really know about the synopsis, but I've heard that this has some sort of like magical elements to it, and it's kind of whimsical, maybe a little bit magical realism, which is everything I love. I think when fall comes around and I like to read more of my magical realism and fantasy books, I will be getting to this one then. The next book that I recently purchased was The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. I was at a bookstore with a friend, and this book was on sale for $5, which was just an incredible sale, so I had to pick it up. All I really know about this book is that it's a YA fantasy series, and it follows this girl who has powers, and she lives in some form of London. It might be our version of London, like urban fantasy, or it might be a magical form of London. I'm not 100% sure. I kind of want to go into this book without knowing too much about the plot. I feel like I might enjoy the series a little bit more that way. But it has gotten great reviews from a lot of people that I trust. A lot of people really enjoy this series, so I'm hoping that I do as well. The next 3 books I have to show you guys I got from Powell's Bookstore in Portland, Oregon. I recently went on a road trip with my family there, and I had to stop by Powell's, and of course I had to buy books there. I couldn't leave without them. And the first one that I got is The Angel's Game by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. I don't know if this is like a sequel to Shadow of the Wind, or if it's just like in the same universe, or if it's completely separate, but it has like the same cover, and obviously it's by the same author, and I think it has some connections to that book. But I got this book because it matches the edition of Shadow of the Wind that I want to get, and this one also had some good reviews online as well. So I think the two have some sort of connection. Hopefully they do. Who knows? So I'm thinking that after I read Shadow of the Wind, if I really end up enjoying it, I'll want to pick up something else that is also by the same author, so I'll have this sitting on my shelf and waiting. The next book that I got is The Thing Around Your Neck by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I read We Should All Be Feminists by Adichie a while back, and I really loved it, and I've been wanting to pick up some of her novels. And this is one of the ones that I saw there, and I've heard great reviews on this one. I have a few friends in real life who've also read it and really loved it, so I'm excited to dive in and see what this one is about. And then I think I'm also going to pick up Americana soon, because that one also has great reviews, but this one was fairly short and I thought that it would be a good place to start, so hopefully I get to this one sometime soon as well. And the last book that I got from Powell's is No One Is Here Except All of Us by Ramona Azabel. So from what I understand, this is a historical fiction novel that takes place in a Romanian village pre-World War I, or right at the start of World War I. And we follow the story of this young girl, and I think that this might have some sort of magical realism elements to it as well. There's some sort of real world and then an imagined world within the story somehow weaved together, and that's why I wanted to pick this up, because you know me, I love magical realism, so I'll read anything that has any of that in it. I have a feeling I'm gonna like this one just because the synopsis sounds really interesting. It sounds like something I would really enjoy. Magical realism mixed with historical fiction I think is a really cool mix, so I am excited to see what I think. So the last book in this haul, and the most recent book that I purchased, is Harry Potter and the Cursed Child by J.K. Rowling, John Tiffany, and Jack Thorne. Where to begin? So for those of you who have not been on the internet or looked at any social media at all for the past year, this is a new play that is the 8th story in the Harry Potter universe. And in this we pick up right where the Deathly Hallows left off, and we follow the children of the Golden Trio and Draco Malfoy, and they all just go on adventures. I can't really give you a summary of this play because honestly, it is so convoluted that anything I say will probably be a spoiler. If you don't follow me on Goodreads, then you wouldn't know that I have already finished this play. I've already rated it, and I didn't like it. I can't really say that I was disappointed in this because honestly, I didn't expect anything from it. But I will say that I was shocked. I was completely and utterly shocked with the things that I read in here. I'm not even really mad at this. I just mostly find it funny because it's comical to me, everything that happened in here. But a few of you have asked me to do a full review for this play, and if you guys would like to see a review, let me know in the comments down below and I will make one if enough of you really want to see one. But I will let you know that it will probably just be a lot of me ranting about every ridiculous thing that happened in here. So that is it, guys, for my summer book haul. So let me know in the comments down below, what are some of your favorite books that you read or bought this summer? I would love to discuss with you. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!